Do you remember this game right here? The one with the dancing soldiers, duckies and dinosaurs? This is Combat Champions. I made a video about it 4 months ago, wondering if this might become the next Battlefield contender. Because it was made by former Battlefield developers and it also had many similarities to it. It had destruction, a conquest-like game mode, a traditional class system with weapons being limited to the classes. It had revives, health and ammo boxes, the typical Battlefield squad system. It even had battle pickups similar to Battlefield 4 or 1. But what it didn't have were air or ground vehicles and a serious tone. Instead, it felt like a mix of the finals, Battlefield and Fortnite and seemed to lack an own identity. And why am I talking in past tense the whole time? Well, because the game is actually not existing anymore. It was never fully released, it was still in development, but it had frequent playtests, and during one of these, the studio announced that they will stop working on the game immediately for business reasons, as they said. Now, think of this what you will, but I'm sure that the developers realized that the game won't be as successful as they initially thought and didn't want it to bet on a dead horse. Because Combat Champions had quite a few issues. The movement felt floaty, like the game was actually set on the moon. Instead of vehicles, it had jump pads and slingshots to help you get faster from A to B. The weapon balance was off, but this is something I would consider normal in the game that is still work in progress. However, I think the biggest problem was the overall too cartoony style, which affected the design of the maps, the assets, the soldiers, weapons, the overall color palette, and also included these weird dances at the beginning and the end of the match. The name and branding was also not optimal in my opinion, with a dinosaur costume in the title. I do understand that this might be a reference to the Mr. Chompy Easter egg in Battlefield, but it takes away so much seriousness from the game already before you even get in. I mean, it had its Battlefield moments. They also tried to capture these in their last trailer, but besides having some of the gameplay mechanics, it never really felt like a Battlefield or even like a serious competitor. And I think that's what actually killed it. It was not close enough to Battlefield to be interesting for Battlefield players, but also not far away enough to be interesting for a wider player base. In hindsight, it just seems like another game that tried to take advantage of the crisis that Battlefield is in right now, but it failed to deliver something fun and unique and to build its own identity. When looking at the finals, for example, which is also made by former Battlefield developers, it managed to establish itself with a unique twist on the arena shooter genre, and most of all with a massive destruction. But even this game has a hard time staying alive in a market that is flooded with new titles on a weekly basis. To end this video on a more positive note, even though the game might never be fully released, you can still play it once a week if you're interested to check it out. The servers still go live every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. CET, and the devs check back on it every now and again as well to have a look at their first project and probably also on the positive and negative feedback to it. The studio itself also didn't close down, instead they moved on to another game, whatever that may be. If you still want to check out Combat Champions, simply go to its Steam page and click on Request Access to Playtest. And if you enjoyed the video, simply click on like and subscribe to stay tuned for more. Until then, thanks for watching, I'm the Catwoman and you are awesome.